Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Scary Movie 5. And this movie came out in 2013, directed by Malcolm D. Lee. And it is the fifth scary movie in this franchise. And before I get into this movie, I'll just give you a brief summary of events of what I think of the previous scary movies, because that's probably the best way to approach this film. The first one I actually like. I enjoyed the first one quite a bit. It's nostalgic for me. And the second movie has some fun moments. Third movie, same thing. And these three movies, I'm fine with existing. Even if they're not great, I can at the very least say that there was something there. They had an idea, and they do kind of feel like time capsule movies in a sense. Like, they feel like movies that would be made in the early 2000s, and they definitely have that feel to them. And because of that, I feel as though that's where they belong. And that's the only place these movies should belong. Like, if we're just talking about what they're going for tone-wise, sure, they're not like high art or anything, but they at least have an excuse for existing. And then we got the fourth movie, and that film just felt like it was a bit too late to the party, and this movie was somehow even worse than 4 for me, and I really hate 4, just for the record, but there are a couple of parts that I kind of remember, and I do find a couple of moments kind of funny, like the one Leslie Nielsen scene, that was pretty funny, but the rest of it was just a complete and utter failure for me. And this movie was infuriating. It was very boring. I couldn't stand it. It was 85 minutes long, and it felt like it was at least 2 hours long. Wow, was this movie like painful to sit through? Like 3 minutes into this movie, I was already bored out of my mind, and I checked to see how far I was into it, because I just so wanted to see what's the time code currently, because I'm feeling like exhausted already. 3 minutes, wow, 3 minutes. That's honestly impressive. You made me feel like I wanted to shut the movie off that soon. That takes some talent. Once we got to the 10-minute mark, I was desperate to shut the movie off, but I decided to sit through the whole thing because I, at the very least, would like to finish every movie that I review. I haven't caved into just giving up halfway through or anything like that for a film that I actually review. There are some movies that I have given up on that I just didn't make it all the way through. But as far as reviewing movies, I've sat through the whole thing for every single one, as of recording this, that is. And this movie was a parody of a few different movies, most notably for me, because I've seen these movies, Paranormal Activity and Black Swan. And once I knew that, I was like, this movie's gonna parody Black Swan, and I was just like mad from the beginning, because I didn't even watch a trailer. I didn't watch any promotional anything whatsoever. Haven't seen one frame from the movie, and I just was curious. Okay, what's this movie gonna parody? Black Swan's gonna be one of them. Yeah, this is gonna be terrible. It's bad enough that this movie I knew was gonna be bad, but for it to parody Black Swan, and it's probably gonna fail at doing that. Like, just going into this movie, like, just with that information in mind, I was already angry. I just couldn't stand that idea. And then I watched the movie, saw their attempt at parodying it, and I was like, wow, you genuinely have no understanding as to like what these things are. You are just putting references in there and calling it a parody, but in reality, you're just using it almost as a vehicle to just like tell your own story and not really do anything unique. Like, everything that this movie does is just incredibly derivative of other movies that I've seen. Like, every movie that this movie is quote-unquote parodying, it just made me want to watch those other movies. I would rather be watching Paranormal Activity. I would rather be watching Black Swan. And they even mentioned really briefly The Cabin in the Woods. Well, maybe not specifically The Cabin in the Woods, because they do kind of mention, like, oh, there's so many Cabin in the Woods is... Like, there's a cabin in the woods in so many different horror movies that it's like cliche, and there's even references to Evil Dead. And I thought to myself, okay, that's not the worst joke in the movie. And the only moment where I was feeling any sort of joy or laughter was when we had characters like just falling out of a window and they were just sent to the hospital. I was like, okay, the fact that that happened for a second time so quickly was a little funny to me, and that was the only joke that did not make me cringe. I also hate how this movie thinks comedy is. Like, all the humor in this movie is just characters getting injured or like just throwing things that are so random and say, oh, this is random and crazy and you weren't expecting it, therefore it's going to be funny, right? Nope, it didn't work for me. It didn't make sense within the context of the movie. It didn't make sense for it to go that approach. It just felt like no one had any idea what they were doing. Every joke in this movie just fell flat for me. I wanted the movie to end, and literally every second felt like an hour to me. Like, I just couldn't stand this movie. There were times where this movie was surprisingly poorly shot, characters were almost out of frame at times, and I just had no idea what was going on there. Nothing made any sense in this movie, and it was just very boring to me. And there were points where there were visual effects, and I thought those looked terrible, and I hated the music in this movie. It really dragged the movie down, and I just wanted it to stop playing music. It's just sex, drugs, and that's about it. So that's most of the comedy in this movie, and just things being random and crazy. And I just found it to be utterly boring. Nothing worked about this movie for me. And this movie was the lowest grossing out of all of these scary movie films, and I'm not surprised as to that being the case. I think it still made money, but still, not a pleasant experience at all. Also, if we're going to talk about the future for this franchise, because we are going to get, I think, a Scary Movie 6 next year as of recording this, so I just am so curious as to, like, what's going to be the angle there, because we've had lots of years of horror movies to look at and kind of parody and do all sorts of things. Like, what's going to be the angle there? Because the early 2000s ones, the first three, had a clear idea, just poking fun at pop culture references and kind of making their own thing with it. And then the fourth movie tried to do that and just failed. And this movie, same thing. And are they going to try to tackle it from a different angle? I don't know. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with it, but we'll see how it works. But I'm definitely not going to be the first one to see it in a theater. That's probably what's going to happen. And Anna Faris is going to be returning for that one. She was in all of these scary movies except this one. Probably just scheduling conflicts. I have no idea. Haven't bothered to look into it, and I don't really care. I also just realized this, and this is probably not the whole reason as to why this movie was bad to me, but it might have made the movie feel a bit more tame to a lot of other movies that I've seen, especially the first three, and both this and the fourth film were both PG-13, whereas the first three movies were rated R. Not sure why you decided to do that. Not that these movies need to be a rated R, but I'm just so confused as to why you thought that was going to be something that would help out the film at all, or why you went that angle. Because it just makes these movies feel a bit more tame. Like, it's supposed to be crazy. It's supposed to be fun. Like, we're parodying like a disturbing films. Like, there's a Sinister reference in this movie. You could easily go from it so many different fun angles because of that. But instead, we just get this really tame movie that just doesn't go in any direction that's fun, interesting, or satisfying. Like, go all out. Have fun. This movie just didn't want to do that, so never going to watch this movie again. I hate it. One of my least favorite movies, probably, possibly. Like, it's up there for sure. I hate it. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Scary Movie 5 a 1 out of 10. And I'm really hoping that this is as bad as it gets. If the sixth movie comes out and it's worse than this, there's no hope for this franchise. I'm sorry. There's absolutely no hope of anything getting better. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thought of Scary Movie 5 and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Showgirls. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.